All right, and now it's time for our LordSkunk.com top 10 list of the week. This week, we're going to be looking at the top 10 Zeta abilities. And again, as always, this top 10 list is sponsored by Loot Crate. Get 10% off from Lord Skunk at lordskunk.com/Loot Crate. And I just looked at the report the other day, and there have been quite a few of you that have been getting his Loot Crate, so it always looks good for the lordskunk.com channel, the live shows, the top 10s, when you guys get those Loot Crates. So much appreciated to all of you out there that get them and that are going to get them in the future. All right, let's get into this thing. The top 10 Zetas in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Zeta ability mats were released with ships as a way to make some less powerful squads and characters a little more devastating. They are a slow, long farm, but which of these abilities is worth the grind? Let's find out. Coming in at number 10, Captain Phasma, Fire at Will. This Zeta now increases the assist chance to a whopping 60% when a First Order character attacks and reduces the damage penalty of those First Order assists. And just in case that wasn't enough, you also get some potency. Put some good First Order characters in the game, and this could easily become an arena leader to contend with. And the great news is, we got Malia Bean, our top 10 writer, definitely within our top 10 for sure, is here with us to explain some of these. So, Malia, what do you think about the old Captain Phasma?
That definitely goes on my tombstone. This is a great leader ability, and it's just crying for some characters to put some damage down. Phasma was a leader that we used a ton a year ago, and just never made it because those other First Order characters just faded away. So this increases the amount of assist, it increases the damage of those assists, and even gives some potency. So now, hopefully, that dark side month that's coming, we'll have some First Order characters for us to add to this Phasma strong leadership ability.
And this is nice to see Captain Phasma on the top 10, the first top 10 list of 2017. If you watched our top 10 20 characters of 2016, where Balethal went back and looked at all the top 10 lists we did in 2016 and put them together, Phasma came out as number 1. When you saw that, weren't you surprised?
No, Phasma's had such a role in so many different teams, just facilitating that's not top 3 would not have surprised me at all.
Yeah, that was really surprised me. I mean, to beat out Qui Gon and some of those other characters, that's pretty cool. All right, and coming in at number 9, Five's Tactical Awareness. Five's unique ability that grants him 85% counter chance has gotten a buff, and it's a big one. The Zeta grants turn meter whenever an ally takes damage. Keep splashing that AoE B2. Fives will smack you back with some big damage and slows.
So Fives is a great character that's put a lot of damage down, pain to deal with, and this just gives him more and more turn meter and more damage. This is a great counter to those dot teams that are constantly putting things on your team. And Fives works both with Qui-Gon, both with General Kenobi and with that Cody clones team, which we may be talking about more in the future.
Well, and to piggyback off what we said about Phasma, now Fives did not show up on the top 20 characters of 2016. He wasn't on many of our lists in 2016, even though he was an absolute great character. He was on many of our teams, and he was a great... he's not a support character, but he was almost like a support character for many different teams, for heroic... heroic Rancor, regular Rancor, he was good. In Arena, he was great. He can help you through Galactic War. So, yeah, Fives is good. I'm glad to see him on here. So when we do the top 20 of 2017, hopefully he'll have a chance to be on the list for that one.
I think there's a good chance some clones will show up on that next list. Yeah,
I think so too. I mean, they're doing pretty good. And to be fair, a lot of people asked about, well, why wasn't Palpatine, or I'm sorry, not Palpatine, but why wasn't like TIE Fighter Pilot and some of these other characters? Well, they were new. They were towards the end of the year. They didn't have a chance to be on as many lists as some of these other characters. So the clones were kind of a suspect of that as well. They just weren't all the way fleshed out yet either. But they were still kind of newer. They were kind of released a little bit later into the year. So yeah, like Mal, you said, hopefully we'll see some of those throughout the year as the clones get stronger.
You don't get Character of the Year for showing up for 2 months. You got to be there from January through those cold months all the way through the whole year.
Yep, you can't just show up every once in a while. You got to be there all the time.
That's exactly right.
All right, coming in at number 8, somebody who has been there all the time in 2016, but still didn't make the list. Darth Sidious coming in at number 8 with his sadistic glee. Darth Sidious has had a potency problem for quite some time. Not anymore. This Zeta unique ability now grants plus 50% potency and a health gain equal to his potency percentage. A Sidious that actually lands dots and has a huge health pool. Yikes. Well, what's funny about the old Sidious is that when we were looking at him before, we were like, he's never landing any of these dots or any of these healing immunity. As we got later on, getting into to the higher levels after 70, it just seems like he never did it, and he had no potency. So tell us
That's
why
right.
this is such a great one.
So 50% potency basically means that you can spend all those important mod positions on things other than potency. Any character that depends on potency modding will always fall behind on damage. So this gives him health, this gives him potency, and this gives him an opportunity to put out some serious damage on a dark side Sith squad, which may be something that people are looking to do.
So he might be good with his alter ego there, Emperor Palpatine.
That's right. Or perhaps with a little Darth Maul.
Could be. All right, coming in at number 7, Grandmaster Yoda. Finally, good to see Yoda grace another one of our lists. His battle meditation. Yoda has 2 Zetas, but with outstanding leadership options from General Kenobi and Qui Gon Jinn. It is the special ability Zeta that is truly special. By decreasing the cooldown of his buff spreading ability and adding foresight to the tenacity up it already generated, your Jedi squads may just never be hit again.
Yoda's unique ability is to spread buffs, but it's not just that. It's giving tenacity up at the start of a turn with incredible speed, and it just gets in the way of everything else that your opponent is trying to do. And if you're able to do this more frequently, and then adding foresight to this, it's just a dominant ability that pushes Yoda over the top. If this was a leadership-related ability, he would be even higher, but this is a great Zeta if you're looking at putting together a Jedi squad.
So one of the teams that I was thinking about, and I was kicking this around with many of the Team Skunk Alpha members, I was kind of thinking going General Kenobi, because right now it's a long farm on these characters, man, for the gear and then for the Zetas and all the other stuff. It's not like, we complained back in the day it was hard to get gear. Now it's, even more gear.
You don't dip your toe in. You're all in if you're into it.
So I'm trying to get a game plan together, and I was kind of kicking around the idea of General Kenobi lead, going with him first, then possibly going for Barris, getting him geared up, and then gearing up Barris, and then possibly zating her, and then at some point zating Yoda. That might change a little bit now with the recent stuff. We'll get into that maybe later in the list, but I'm still thinking Yoda is going to be a good addition somewhere along the lines. I don't know, maybe Qui-Gon, maybe Barris, or maybe one of these other choices first. But I think at some point I probably will Zeta Yoda for sure. He's just great, man. He's one of the greatest characters of all time.
And you feel iconic playing him. It's not some character you never heard of. This is Yoda.
This is Yoda, the closest thing we have to a deity figure in Star Wars. All right, coming at number 6, Finn, Balanced Tactics. Finn's leadership ability takes a squad that has been on the shelf for months and makes it exciting and powerful by focusing on synergy and the power of exposing your enemies. Every time a resistance ally loses foresight, they gain advantage, and nothing terrifies opponents like a Rey with guaranteed crits. In addition, every time an expose is triggered, resistance allies gain turn meter and cooldown reduction. This timely monthly character is finally making an impact.
This is one of those Zetas where the bonuses just keep going and going. You just get more and more things that it can do. The reason Finn isn't higher is because people just haven't invested in that resistance squad. This just hasn't been a squad that people have wanted to put a lot of time and gear into. But this leadership, if you combine it with a full resistance team, can absolutely dominate arena, can dominate tournaments, can put down huge damage in the raids, and is a very, very, very well-earned Zeta. Now, if you're not putting your time and energy into the rest of the resistance team, this Zeta is completely useless, and that's the reason it's a little bit lower. It's not so useful without that full team there to support it.
All right, and coming in at number 5, Barris Offee, Swift Recovery. We planned on doing this list last week. Good thing we held off. First off, we wanted to have Malia Bean be able to be with us. He was traveling last week, so he wasn't able to make it to the live show. And also because we wanted to see if there would be any additional Zetas that were released. But there weren't. There was just a Zeta that was changed, and that was Barris Offee. Only one Zeta was meta-defining, and that was the insane unique ability of Barris. Her unique, which cleansed debuffed allies and granted them turn meter, now also healed any ally for 20% of their max health every time they were critically hit. Not as good post-bug fix, as she is still very useful if protected with taunts. Be warned, to be effective, it requires a General Kenobi lead, so buyer beware if this is not on your horizon. If you have not faced this terrible twosome yet, you will. Now, question about Barris. Now, people that did invest in Barris were refunded their Zetas to choose if they wanted to reinvest into Barris or move on to somebody else. If you are going to run that General Kenobi led team, do you still think it's a requirement to Zeta Barris?
So, but the Barris squad used to just require Kenobi, and you could use a wide variety of other characters in addition. Now you really need 2 taunts to protect Barris in order to maximize that team. So you're looking ideally at Kenobi and Baze Malbus. If those are characters you have access to, then this Zeta is dominant. The extra bonus of her being added to pretty much any tournament team and making it viable is probably not as helpful as it once was before. Now that once she dies, that unique goes away. But again, it's a great investment if you're trying to do that stall squad with some good tank protection. It's a solid investment for the tournament, but it's not one of those teams that if they hadn't changed it, every single team in the top 20 would have this same stall, annoying team. And I think for the long run health of this game, I'm glad they did. And I'm also glad that they gave those Zetas back so you can think about it again.
Yeah,
if they hadn't, it would have been awfully frustrating.
Yeah, that was really good that they did that. So kudos to them. Now, the other question though I have for you is, okay, so let's say you're running General Kenobi. My plan was to run Kenobi, Fives, Barris, probably Anakin, and probably Ayla is who I was kind of thinking, kind of kicking around the idea, possibly throwing in a Yoda, depends. Let's kind of see how it all plays out. But with that, would Fives be enough tank along with Kenobi?
I don't think so. I think it's too easy to put a buff block on those 2 characters and sort of nullify Barris. It's still a dominant team. It's still an incredibly frustrating team to go against. But I do think you're going to need a little bit more dispel on that team, a little bit more outgoing damage. It's certainly a viable, good long-term team, but I don't think it's quite as powerful as a Baze Kenobi combo platter. And if you're lucky enough to have Chirrut, Baze, and Kenobi with Barris and Fives, that's a team that can take you a long way to frustration. Nobody will fight you. You could stay in first position just because it's not worth it to fight you.
Nice. All right, it might be something to look at in the future. All right, coming at number 4, Darth Maul's Dancing Shadows. This ability is really, really interesting. Sith allies gain stealth on evade, cannot be critically hit when stealth, and even gain advantage coming out of stealth. And these bonuses are active at the start of the encounter. If only there was a squad of decent Sith allies to battle with.
So you can put together an arena team with Darth Maul lead that can absolutely take number 1. I am really hopeful that this Dark Side month coming up will give us even more ammunition for this Dark Side squad. Darth Maul's leadership here just gives so many different and interesting buffs. It gives you stealth to work with. It gives you huge advantage on his AoE if he comes out of stealth. And I think it's especially against this evolving Jedi meta that seems to be starting to creep in. This is a leadership that can pay huge dividends both in the tournament and the arena. And who doesn't want to play with Darth Maul? If you put that time and money into him, you've wanted to use him for a long time, and you finally can.
Yeah, it's finally nice to have Darth Maul show up on one of these lists, and it's not the top 10 characters not to farm. So
exactly.
So it's good. It's good to see him.
Don't let him get cut in half. He can do some stuff here now.
Yeah, that's very good. So looking forward to that. He got his legs back finally.
That's right.
All right, coming at number 3, Cody, Ghost Company Commander. So many people had buyer's remorse for the heavy expense of a full clone squad that CG had to do something about it, and they did. Cody now grants more crit chance and defense with his leadership ability, but most importantly, he now also grants protection regen with clone basic attacks. While this squad spam its basics, the protection bar never goes down.
So if you like your 5s with a General Kenobi lead, if you stick a Cody lead in, every time he hits back, he gains 5% of his maximum protection. And that is a character that's going to be incredibly difficult to beat. The clone squad with a Cody lead is able to beat any meta team outside of that old Barris nasty team that doesn't work anymore. So this is a great character to invest in if you have him at 7 stars, if you have Echo at 7 stars, if you have all these different pieces at 7 stars. And so that's why he's not a little bit higher, because you need every single one of those pieces, those difficult to acquire pieces, fully geared and fully starred for him to be maximally effective. But this is a great leadership to finally let us use those clone squads that we've been sitting on for so long, like our Darth Mauls.
All right, and coming in at number 2, everybody's favorite Dark Lord, Darth Vader, inspiring through fear. Vader has been a nice Empire piece since Palpatine was released, by his huge buff to his leader skill makes him more viable in every game mode and with a greater collection of allies. This leadership ability may improve the turn meter manipulation of his allies, but the real buff is that your dots never, ever, ever die, until Darth Vader dies. So as long as Darth Vader is alive, those buffs are going to stick. So before, what would happen is you'd put the debuffs on the enemy, you'd throw your saber at them, do a lot of damage. Those buffs would go, or those debuffs would go away. Now those debuffs don't go away; they stick there through the whole time. And Mally Bean even told me earlier that that even if they're cleansed by, let's say, a Rex, those debuffs come right back from Vader.
Yeah, this Vader lead can solo the Rancor raid. This Vader lead can put up 2 million damage in Phase 3 of the Heroic AAT raid. And this Vader lead is only going to get better with the release, hopefully, with the release of Death Trooper and Krennic. This is the kind of lead that's just sets itself apart from the rest of the Zetas. You can use this in any game mode. It's a defining, another like Yoda, one of those characters you always wanted to be able to use. This is a character you've been farming through achievements for months and months and months, and finally it's that dominant character you really want. So this is the only reason he isn't one, is that when he dies, that bonus, those dots lasting forever, goes away. So there are ways to work around him, but otherwise this is just an outstanding character to put some time and energy into.
Absolutely, this was the reason why we play Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. Darth Vader, Yoda, those
absolutely. This and Luke with a lightsaber, and we can't get that, so we might as well use this.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see Vader on here. It's good to see Yoda on here. This is a really good list. Let's see who comes in at number 1 in the top 10 Zeta abilities in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. Here we go. Qui Gon Jinn and his agility training. One of the most frustrating parts of Galaxy Heroes is that up until Zetas, Jedi were not viable. Qui Gon Jinn's Zeta ability makes them fun and powerful by granting a huge boost to speed, offense, and foresight to hold off the Emperor Palpatine and Lando Barrage. Now you can finally use those characters that you always wanted to use.
Now I know you're a huge fan of Qui Gon Jinn's kit. It really is one of the most effective, diverse kits out there to really for any game mode. And when you add speed and you add 3 times the offense of the speed, and you add foresight at the start and with unit defeats, you're really getting a leadership ability that allows you to use all those Jedi characters you've been sitting on, all those Jedi characters you've always wanted to have out there in any game mode. So for me, this is the number 1. Because it's just it's what you've always wanted. You wanted to fight with Jedi, and now you finally have it.
Yeah, absolutely. I got Qui Gon Jinn, one of the first characters that I got. When I first started playing the game, I went ham crazy. They had those packs. I bought the packs. I started playing in about almost a little less than a year ago. It was early February. I started playing, and it was just entering the Qui Gon Jinn meta. Qui Gon Jinn just got introduced to the Cantina shipments, so I was able to unlock him out of those packs, and then I was able to level him up or star him up through those shipments, and he has been on my team all the way through just until recently. I had to take him out. I actually replaced him with B2, so super happy to see him back on this list. Super happy to see him re-entering into the meta and what he brings to the table. This ability is so cool because you can build your whole entire team around it. You can build it. You could build Yoda up with this because Yoda already is a super fast character. We take these mods. We add more speed, just more everything to this. And I haven't seen it yet. I'm sure there's probably videos out there. And I know if not, we'll see some in the very near future. Qui-Gon Jinn with all the crazy foresight that he's going to give, and then a Yoda Zeta with all the crazy foresight that he's going to give. It's just going to be a very frustrating, interesting team. This team would have been absolutely killer. A killer team if Barris would not have got changed, but she did, and rightfully so. So
thank goodness.
Yeah, I mean, that would have just been nuts. I mean, all that foresight, and then if you did get through the foresight, you get the 20% health back. I mean, that would have just been a nightmare of a team. So, but this is still a very interesting team. Very interesting to see how people are going to work with Qui-Gon, how to use their mods, how to get those speeds up. I mean, Anakin's not a slow character at all. Qui-Gon's not slow. Master Yoda's not slow. You can speed up Ayla a little bit. some of these other Jedi, you can make a super. Don't forget General Kenobi too. You can make this a super competitive, fun team, and to have that. I mean, think about to have General Kenobi, Qui Gon together, Yoda in there. Wow, I mean that's just an awesome team. I can't wait to see more as we all progress more, getting these Zetas.
You don't watch the movies to watch Royal Guard and
Zam Wessel.
Exactly. You watch the movies to see Jedi battling Sith, and so it's good to be able to find.
Yeah, this would be nice to see those Vader teams going up against those Qui Gon Jinn teams, and you'll get to see those clone. I know I didn't watch the Clone Wars, so I don't know a lot about them, but I know there's a lot of fans of the Clone Wars, so I know people will be excited to bust those clones out and get those going and have a competitive team with that. So very exciting. All right, and let's look at our final thoughts. Zetas are a long grind, so spend them wisely and carefully. When you decide to buy a Zeta, make sure that you are able to field the squad to maximize its utility. So we want to know, number one, what do you think of the list? Let us know in the comments. Number two, who's going to be your first Zeta, and what kind of team are you going to build around them? And then number three, which characters that currently don't have an ability with the Zeta would you like to see, and what would that Zeta ability be? We can kind of do maybe some theory crafting and or some put our heads together and come up with some ideas, and maybe the devs will see this and they'll make that a reality. You never know. It's happened before from our various live shows and videos that ourselves or our viewers or somebody came up with an idea and we actually saw it implemented into the game. So post down there. Let us know what your best Zeta abilities would be if you could create any one, and what character that would be and why. I'm looking forward to seeing that, and then I'll make sure that Malia Bean frequently checks this video so we can answer any questions that you guys have. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask those, and we will make sure that we get those. So any last thoughts, Malia?
I am looking forward to these Death Troopers to see how it works with the current Zeta, and maybe we'll have a new Zeta or two to add to the list very soon.
Nice. Very good. All right. And this was another TeamSkunk.com presentation brought to you by Mac at Media Artist Collective and sponsored by Loot Crate. Get 10% off from LordSkunk.com/Loot Crate today. And I want to thank everybody so much for watching the video. And if you liked the video, please hit that subscribe button and like, and you will be sure to be notified when we release new top 10s, when we do the live show, or when we release other Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes guides. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.